Hello, all you paranormal pondering people. Welcome back to Michelle's Paranormal Pathways. Today we're talking about the most important subject of all that I can stress over and over again is how to clear properly, and how not to make mistakes while clearing. Most people don't know how to properly clear. I just cannot express enough that you really need to know how to do this. If you are an investigator and you're going into a site and you find something for whatever reason, and you're using EVP machines, you're using your cameras, you're using whatever, those equipment can actually get attachments. Like if you're trying to communicate with something and all of a sudden it has a way to communicate with somebody and it has never had this opportunity before, it could attach to your EVP, your digital recorder, the radio, whatever the little meter is. It could attach to the camera. It could attach to any number of your pieces of equipment. An EMF emitter, it's sending out a ton of energy trying to provoke an experience, and you could get attachments, and then you just load it up into your car and you take it home with you and expose your family to it. So you need to know how to clear after an investigation. You get in your car, you have your equipment in there, you do your clearing, and then you can go home without bringing attachments home. That is one of the biggest mistakes that a lot of investigators do. And I can pretty much guarantee that none of the investigators in the documentary did a clearing of the equipment or anything. They just packed it up and they took it back to the rental place, and who knows who's going to get that piece of equipment, and who knows if they're going to be exposed to something that they shouldn't be, just because of ignorance. So we can't have that happen. So what's wrong with smudging, for instance? How could that possibly be bad with white sage? How could lighting a candle be wrong? How could that priest at the end of the video be wrong? How could this crystal possibly go wrong? And the answers are really, really simple and easy. And the concept is easy to understand, which is why a lot of people don't grasp it and aren't taught it. Will burning white sage clear? Yes and no. Yes, it will help to clear. Yes, it helps to give focus. But it only became popular in the late 60s and 70s when hippies from California were exposed to native people who actually used white sage. It's not the white sage in of itself that is working. So you can't just copy somebody without the understandings or the science behind what you are doing. The same with a candle. I call my clearing method drawing down the light, which is basically using the light of God. I mean, there's only one energy, source energy, God energy, which is what created everything. So even the baddest bad thing you can possibly imagine is a part of source energy. It's just a very low frequency. Attack mode, under any circumstances, and especially with organized religions where you're like, in the name of God, I command you, like all of those kinds of things where you're attacking, demanding, banishing, all of those things turn a good high source energy into the lowest, darkest energy that exists out there. So you cannot go into a place where there may be paranormal stuff happening and clear it by using attack mode. What you're doing is you're feeding it, and you're making it bigger and stronger. And if there was nothing there in the first place, you are creating a beacon and a portal to invite more of that energy in. So this can go very, very wrong. And it's people using words that is mostly where the problem is. And of course, crystals are fantastic. I obviously, I'm a crystal skull person. It gives people focus. The reason behind using this, yes, there's a lot of scientific reasons why behind quartz and crystals and stones are useful. But that aside, most people that, I don't know nothing about no geology. Like, I don't know. It's like quartz, it's good. It's like shiny and pretty. And, fairies like it, so obviously it works. Well, you need to go beyond that. Or I saw somebody in a movie use crystals, so, like, that's why I'm using them. It goes beyond that. And you need to understand, we are trying to go from source energy to the darkest negative energy is all the same. When the Big Bang happened, and the God particle, some people call it, when that happened, poof, and the God consciousness expanded, and the particles slowly found their frequencies and became things, planets and places and beings and animals and insects, and all of the things that are out there came from that one moment and spread out, which is why people call that center the central sun. So when you hear New Agey people talking about the central sun, they're talking about where that happened and how everything expanded outwards from that. So that's kind of the concept. And I have several videos on my Our World of Wonders page that I made in answer to a bunch of people. There's the Our World of Wonders, there's Charlotte, there's me. And the videos down here, the one with me with my hands up by my head is the first one, clearing and smudging, and it goes into a lot of explanation. And if you really, really want to learn and understand, listen to that one. And the second one was, oh, this is how to clear like areas and like objects. The next one was how to clear yourself and how that works and how you should envision that. And the third one, which is just up here, is how you can have too much high frequency energy. And if it's not grounded properly, and if you're not using it properly, you can actually make yourself incredibly ill. And how a lot of energy workers do get incredibly ill from not using this high energy properly. So this is basically a warning. Never use attack mode. Never use God's name in vain, I guess, too, where, in God's name I command you, and, in Jesus's name, in Mary's name, like all of those fighting attack modes, you cannot use them. And if you're lighting a candle because you're trying to burn away the badness, that's also very bad. Drawing down the light is drawing down the high energy of source, grounding it to Earth's frequency, because if you don't do that, you will get sick, and sending out a it's like a non-calm comfort mode from inside the eye of the storm, where you are is sort of, it's like, it's comfortable, it's not too hot, it's not too cold, you're not sending out love, you're not sending out hate, you're just in that nice nowhere place, and you're looking out, and you can acknowledge and observe and react without putting a lot of emotion behind it. Because when you do that, you change the frequency of the energy that you're trying to use so that the clearing will not work. If you're using hate, you're going to be feeding it and making it worse. If you are bringing home equipment that you've used during an investigation that has attachments, you could be giving it to your family. You could be giving it to your neighbors. You could be like, it's just a big snowball that gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And you need to be able to learn how to stop that. And with Alice And everyone that's been influencing her, from the stories in the neighborhood to the psychics and the investigators that she's had in her life, every time she wants to be free of what's going on or understand what's going on, they're giving her more fear information that feeds into her paranormal paranoia, which just makes it grow and get bigger and bigger and bigger. And little does she know, she could clear and do all of this in 15, 20 minutes. First couple of times takes a while, and as you do it more and more and more, you learn how to clear. It becomes quicker and quicker and quicker. You can do it anywhere, any place. You don't need equipment. You don't need to burn sage. But if you're in a place where someone like Alice is, and she is scared, and she just doesn't have your understanding and teachings, you burn the sage. And you say, see it going to the four corners of the room and clearing the room. I want you to go to that non-confrontational place. I want you to go to the eye of the storm. I want you to see the smoke going to all the corners and knowing in your heart that it's working. Because most human beings need to see or hold or do something that is physical. The same with sound. You want to raise the frequency? One of the greatest ways to show someone that you're raising the frequency, musical instruments. This is a piano tuning fork. This will help keep the energy that you have created with your clearing high. Because when you have a lower dark energy of any kind, and that it could be a person, it could be an entity or being in the house, it could be an imprint, it could be any number of things. It's moving kind of slowly, and you've got the high frequency which comes, and it has to change its energy to match the higher frequency, or it has to leave. It's as simple as that, and that is why it works. You're using this high frequency, and it's about going from the eye of the storm, that calm, comfortable place where you can observe everything, but you're not being affected by it. You're not getting emotional. You're not like hating it or loving it. You're just observing in that non-confrontational, nowhere kind of a place. And that's where the clearing happens. So we'll stop here because that's very general and to the point. I will walk you through a clearing, how to do it, very generalized, and we will move on from there, because this is some of the most important stuff that you will learn, not just to protect yourself, but to protect others that, come into areas behind you that have no idea that something could even be there. And you don't want to be so into investigating and so into confronting what you think is there that you don't think about the people that have to walk into your frequency wake, because it happens all the time. You'll hear a lot on a lot of investigations where we had so-and-so come in and it just got worse after they left. There's a reason for that. And this also is part of the slowly moving into the crossing people over that you believe are stuck. A lot of people leave that for mediums and psychics to handle, but not everyone knows how to do that either. So that's all along this type of things that we need to know right from the very start. And I'm really trying to move forward to my UFO Bigfoot crossover kind of a thing. I had something happen to me in 1979 with a group of friends, and we thought that it was a UFO incident. This is what we thought. We were positive. And I just found out last month that somebody experienced a similar thing, and it turned out to be a Bigfoot experience, which I had never made a connection to before. So I want to get to that. So as soon as we get through the clearing, we'll get into some of the good stories. Thanks for hanging around, and I'll see you in a bit.